Right, good afternoon again. We are going to share with you work in progress. So you've had two kinds of presentations so far. One which is a commercial offering, very stable, very mature, always evolving and progressing, I know, but that is already being used by established companies, like established projects and organizations. And you've had two projects that aim at developing methodologies to collect data and put that data together and format it and deliver it, and as Davide said, with the developer in mind. Now, in line with the theme of our conference, we have endeavored at OW2 to go not one step further, but to adopt the user perspective. So we have a vendor, we have researchers. Now you should look at OW2 as users. As users, we need to use data in order to help users out there. I mean, people would download the software, understand, select the OW2 project. And in doing so, we may add some value to the project. So what I'm going to share with you is really work in progress. It's a perspective on how we perceive our code base and the value chain. We will remind you what is the OSCAR approach, and then how we tend to create the scale of market readiness index, which will be rated in, it's a scale of market readiness levels. And I will share with you our initial stages of those levels. Our focus is not so much the technology or the community, but it's more the market readiness, really. So it goes a little bit one step further. We have lots of projects, and I mean, we fit the project inside what we call the value chain. So it's a market perspective. We have different kinds of projects. We have community projects that reflect the free software movement. We have commercial open source projects that are supported by commercial companies. And we also have research projects that are driven by ecosystems of companies collaboratively working in developing new technologies. Typically, the setup of a European project is this kind of setup. All these projects aim at doing business. And doing business, or reaching out to the market and having some money flown back to the developers at some point. Now, software is code. Code is text. I mean, we've looked at that in a way that it's something that many of you are interested. I know that some already are squinting, trying to understand and figure out what kind of code it is up there. But for me, or for the average, the conventional decision maker, the one we were talking about at the roundtable yesterday, that doesn't mean anything. The moment you want to address a customer or do business with something, the software becomes a product or support for a product, a productized offering. And what makes a product? It's not just the code. It's everything that goes on top of the code, that goes along with the code. It's the documentation, it's the training, it's the roadmap, it's even the pricing list, it's some contracts, etc., some support. This is what customers, real-life customers expect. They want a product. So what creates value? It's the product. It's everything that you can add after the code and to reach out to the customer. Usually, developers or research projects remain kind of upstream. They deliver proof of concepts, some code, some demonstrators. But then the rest is something that really they don't really bother. Or maybe they don't have the resources to develop. They don't have the resources to develop a systems integration type of offering or a full-fledged documentation, etc. And that's what we call that the delivery challenge. It's how you feel this gap between the developer or the development team and the average end user or the mainstream user, to stay aligned with the theme of our conference. And who creates this value? It's the ecosystem. When we talk about open source, we have, of course, the contributors contributing, but we also have companies that help support the the developers. We have the systems integrators that we met yesterday, who integrate the software into business solutions. We have distribution vendors like Red Hat, or that aggregate components into productized platforms. We have the users themselves that contribute back to the open source project. And we also have the open source organizations like Eclipse, Apache, Linux Foundation, OpenStack, and OW2 are here to support the project and to help them build trust on the market. But we also support them by providing services. And typically at OW2, we provide 3 layers of services: a technology infrastructure to help the development team work together, some governance to help build trust and predictability into the project, and some market outreach, typically with some conferences like these or other conference where we participate. This is materialized through 3 types of services, and it is in this context that we already have developed a quality project program that is currently operational, which I will let Stefan describe to you.
Thank you. And this program indeed is called OSCAR, standing for Open Source Capability Assessment Radar. And it's running currently on the servers at OW2. So what is it? OSCAR is actually both a model and a platform, which you can see as a way to implement the model. The model, we call it Open Source Maturity Model, OMM. It's an outcome of a previous European project, Calypso. It was reworked and built upon. And this model is instrumented at OW2 by a set of tools that you can see on this diagram. Actually, you can see on this diagram that OSCAR hinges on 2 main pillars: the governance pillar and the engineering pillar. And each pillar covers a set of criteria, and a set of tools are made available to implement these criteria. So you can see that the governance pillar consists mostly of license and IP management, standards implementation, the way requirements are managed, etc. Engineering focuses more on code, bugs, tests, etc. And at the top, you can see that the goal of OSCAR is to bring high-level metrics like Bitergia that give insight about the project. So the first real tool of OSCAR is OMM. It's a self-assessment form containing 12 sections, and that each project leader at OW2 is invited to fill in, especially the mature projects, which have to go through this process of filling the OMM form. It's a way to check where they are in terms of open source best practices in their day-to-day management of the project. The scores obtained when filling in this form are available as a histogram that you can see on this slide. So this is a typical dashboard of a OW2 project. All the projects at OW2 have dashboards, more or less filled in depending on the maturity of the project. Another tab titled Risk Drivers contains the outcome of the phosology analysis against the code. So it breaks down in a list of licenses that are present in the project analyzed. Here it is proactive workflow and scheduling. We also provide metrics coming from SonarQube, static analysis of the code. And we have implemented, who was talking about the quality model? It was in OSS Meter, right? Yeah. So we have also implemented the concept of quality model through a project called Riscos, which lets the visitor define intervals of quality for each criteria defined in OMM. And this is the result. The market readiness at this point consists of 3 main indicators related to licenses, quality, and activeness. It's a step toward a more concise market readiness level that Cedric will present now.
Thank you, Stefan. So this is exactly what is operational today, what all mature projects are implemented, and that's Stefan's developed. We leverage this through a set of hundreds of data and data points from research. We leverage the results of research project. So we're looking forward to what Osmeter or even Measure can provide. And as users, we integrate these results into a usable platform, and we try to simplify it in order to put that in the hand of the average visitor on the OW2 website. That can come from whatever, and we don't know. So we need to simplify. We need to industrialize it. So to productizing this for us is to make it more and more simple. And that's how we looked at different ways to simplify and to evaluate, which is our concern, the market readiness, not just the quality. So we looked at something that is very well known, the technology readiness levels, which is a way of measuring the maturity of a technology that goes from the bottom, what's useless, to the top, what is totally established and mature. So we were looking at that, and you know, you're all familiar in the research industry, of course, with this with the scale, which has been developed by the NASA, then reused by the Department of Defense, and also by the Department of Energy, and that has some and that's the actual definitions, where at the bottom you have the basic principles observed, then the technology concept is formulated, and at the top you have the thing that has been flight proven. So it's the piece of space artifact that went in orbit and came back if it had to come back, but that is operational and that they are planning to reuse. So that's a very good thing, and we were thinking, hey, if half of the world in research use this scale, maybe we can use it in a way. So we did a little bit of research, and we came across that scale, which is the same thing put from left to right, and where you see the evolution in terms of from the research to the left to the market to the right. Interestingly, you see that the players are not exactly the same, they evolve. You see the research, the academic world, you see some government agencies at some point, then towards the middle to the right you see maybe the startups take over the technology that has been developed, and then maybe the large companies take, or the dominant companies, commercial, sells the technology. So that's an application of the scale to the market. And incidentally, the red line is the available funding. So you start with funding to the right with government funding, then it gets into some sort of uncertainty zone where some startups are trying to make money out of it and maybe go bankrupt or no. And if they succeed, they eventually burst and with a lot of money towards the right of the scale. And we also, by doing some research, we came across a venture capitalist, an investment company that is using this for their own use, decision making, by rating the maturity of potential investments. So that's very simple. So we thought we had scores of data on one hand, maybe an idea of how to use that, and this is how we decided to work on the OW2 market readiness levels, from MRL1 to MRL9. I wanted to present something, but I already announced it. So today, what I'm presenting you is not the finished thing. It's really work in progress. So it's like a call for contribution, really. I'm opening up the books. I'm inviting you into the kitchen, and I'm showing you now where we are with the levels. One thing you have to bear in mind. Today with Oscar, we have a scorecard. A scorecard is, like it says, a card. It's a two-dimensional card where we have data and we have to figure out our own synthesis, our own idea. So what we really want to do is take all these two-dimensional, this mesh of results and put them all aligned in a one-dimension scale. That's the idea. Like the Michelin stars. And we realized, if we think of what I've just presented, that each of these levels represents a scenario. It's a scenario, it's a situation. And maybe it's radically different, it's qualitatively different from situation 1 to situation 2, from situation 3 to situation 4. And each situation is in fact characterized by something very strong, a strong element that makes it different from the one before, from the one after. And that is the rhythm and the evolution in market maturity. So we're still looking for that, that perception. So this is where we are. I've tried to simplify it so that we can share it very quickly. So the level 1. Oh, and on the right you have the keywords from the NASA TRL thing. So basic principles for us, it's research in terms of technology. From the business perspective, we're still in the research stage. In terms of technology, we've developed the technology, the key algorithms. So it's basic code developed, and we have many of these collaborative projects that don't go much further than that, actually. Then the second level, which would be application monitoring for the NASA, for us, it's where the basic R&D code has been developed. And we already have at least one demonstrated use case. So we're still pretty much in what the collaborative projects can develop. We have the POC, and we're in the process of developing. So we have identified projects like this. Number 3, level 3, is where we start understanding the usefulness of the thing. Because up till now, it was probably a solution in search of a problem. But now we can match the technology we're developing with actual problems, and we see how it can be useful. And we know how, what we call the golden scenario, how the user can actually use it. I mean, the kind of data they need, the kind of interaction they need, the kind of security they need, the kind of results. So we have this process that is more or less defined, and probably because we already have one declared user that has provided already some feedback and helps refine the requirements. Number 4, we have the usefulness really demonstrated, and now we are ready, in more business terms, perhaps to have the minimal value proposal defined. So we know exactly what kind of the rough shape of the product of what it would be like. We already have several users. We already have somebody committed to develop the product. Somebody already who believe in it. So we already now starting at something that goes towards the market. But we still not have a real market and the flow of commercial sales. So now in number 4, this is what we have. We already have what they call the relevant environment validation. We already have some customers. We already have, we've opened it to the market. We've made all the move to become commercial. Maybe we are hiring a guy or somebody in the development team is becoming the evangelist or the sales rep. And the good thing is we are confronted to market expectations, and by doing this, we are refining the end user interface. Now we really have something that has to mature. Until now, we were expecting people to do the right thing. Now we understand that we have users that might not do the right thing, might not understand, so we have to really look after them and make it a user interface as intuitive as possible. On the 6th level, the good thing is that now, in terms of technology, we have the growing interoperability. It's not just a product that we have somewhere that is on its side and that you use it or you don't. If it doesn't fit your environment, well, we don't care. We have it fit for that environment. Now we have a product or something that can support maybe more than one database, that can interface with more and one type of systems. So this is where we grow the interoperability. So the usefulness is even more, and you can broaden the market. You can address different kind of customers, not just those that are using that type of system or not. And you can grow the an early customer base. And with this in mind, now you can start going and see VCs. You can see the investors, because they can understand the potential. The next level we have is where because we're addressing a broader market, we have implemented full Q&A. It's tested, bug fixing, everything is completely in pace, and now we can actually build our market. And this is where I see a rocket chat now. We can discuss this, Gabriel, if you like. But we already have an early customer base, and now we keep going. The eighth level is where, in terms of product, we already now building the product range. We know we fit with this, but we understand that there can be more things coming that can complement the thing. Maybe we have more than one version. Maybe we have the VIP version and the entry-level version. Maybe we have the complete one or the packaged one. Because we have the broad customer base to do that, and we are now actively competitive. We are recognized in the market. We're capable of standing and even giving keynote speeches. And the last level we have at the time is that we are actually an established player. We are one of those recognized leaders on the market with full support for the product. Many customers, even customers that are proud to speak for you, who come and say that okay, I'm using this because you're kind of a leader. There is no question that this is a good product in place. This is where I see, I'm sorry, No Edge and not Sago BI, whatever. And I'll try to simplify, so one letter. And then in terms of technology, the evolution is that it's more like it's becoming a platform. It's not just that you have a range of products, but it's a platform where you can expand the thing by adding and connecting with partners and building your ecosystem. So that's the kind of understanding we have of the trajectory, the market trajectory of project and open source project. And we build this bearing in mind that we need to apply that to the commercially supported project, but also to those collaborative projects that are supported by an ecosystem, like the publicly financed projects or those with the foundations behind, and also the purely community-driven project that may or may not that. So this is where we have all these different, that what Stefan has mentioned, all the different rating. Now we are aligning all this to help build, to feed the rating of each project, and that's the thing we are currently developing, and for which, by the way, we will awaiting some of the results of the project that have been demonstrated. So this is where we are. If you have ideas, if you want to challenge this, you're very welcome, because we really need to go public with this, and we really need to support I mean, stress test is something that is very welcome to that. Thank you very much. Oh, summary, open source projects are different. We already have, that's what I just said. We already have some data, and we're looking at that unique scale that will help. So the overall idea is that a user will go to the OW2 marketplace, look at the project, oh, TRL 6, TRL 9, okay, what does that fit? But with this, we already are helping them. So it's maybe very simplistic from the standpoint of the academics in the room, but we need something that is useful very instinctively and very quickly by the average end user out there. That's all. Thank you. Oh,